We are a community of consciousness. Who are we as that community of consciousness? We are capable of many, many different things. We are a very empowered group, and yet there's still separateness that occurs. I'm going to tell you my story. It's an infantation, one of the little facets of my story. You decide what you'd like to do. But just like the butterfly theory, where one little effort, one little flapping of the wings can affect a huge weather event, I'm going to ask you to pay attention to the little things that you do and say, especially as a community. When I first started doing this work 20 years ago, people weren't talking about EMF, the human electromagnetic field. They weren't talking about balancing. And this work received a lot of attention. And once I got over being shy, if there's not enough sense of self or ego, you go into this, I am nothing, I am nothing. If you go over here and you say, ha-ha, I have all the answers, therefore you should listen to me, somewhere in between, there is a sense of balance. So I was always, I'm nothing, 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 it's okay, I'm fine, no ego, only God, only God, only God. I did that for 15 years of my life. I lived up here and I missed this whole space of being in third dimensional reality for 15 years. Then the pendulum went the other way. Sorry to tell you, but I started to feel that what I had was all you needed. It was the best. It was the only thing you needed. I made fun of other people and the things they did, because when you're laughing, you're bonding, and I was just very, very irreverent because I had gone from this to this. Why would you need anything else? And then I started to observe myself, and there were two very specific events that just really brought it to my attention as to who I was becoming and where I was going, and I didn't like it. There was one night a gentleman came after I gave a talk to explain to me his version of the universe and what he thought was appropriate. I became very impatient with him because I had spoken. I'd already given the information. What more could there possibly be? Oh my God. And I literally said to the host of this event, I said, does he know who he's talking to? I heard myself say those words. I went home that night, I thought about it, and I said to myself, so what? Other people talk that way, so what? So I let it go. The next week I have another talk. Okay. You know, the so what thing. And I'm at this event, and I hear people talking about this fabulous energy work. This marvelous person, very evolved, and I'm just puffing up more than my hair. This is a true story. And I suddenly realized they're not talking about me. And I'm disappointed. And then I went, ah, and I was disappointed. I was disappointed. And I stopped doing everything for 3 months. I went inside, I recalibrated. I asked myself, who was I becoming? What is most important for each of us, I think, and it's up to you, is our own soul's growth, our ability to develop our individuality, and yet at the same time be honoring of everyone else who is connected with us, developing their individuality. I made a decision. I made a decision that I would honor every single person's effort in expanding consciousness, and I've had the opportunity to live that again and again and again. I may not understand, I may not agree. You might feel that when you look at what I'm saying, but you deserve my respect because you are making an effort to expand consciousness. Now, I'm looking to keep company with people who understand that even if we're different, we are building together. Why would that be? Because we are a culture unto ourselves. Yes, there is a lot of energy, but again, I talked to you yesterday about organizing. I believe that when we become more organized and more supportive of one another, because I can tell you over the years, this has been one of the hardest things I have ever done, to build something with people misunderstanding and just keep going to get to where we are now, especially when you're so conscious that we are all connected, that we are all one. So I'm asking you to be mindful, to be mindful of how you talk about one another, to be mindful of how you treat one another. Remember that what you say, even when someone is not around, it still affects the relationship. It still affects the reality. Do you understand? So that was my decision. To me, that's an evolutionary decision. Are there any evolutionaries in this room? Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to stay centered for just a moment, extra centered, because I was able to set my ignorance aside. I've had a lot of beautiful relationships with many beautiful people over the years. And I want to stay centered for this, and I want to do this honoring. Martina is here with the Tachyons. Tommy is not here on this level. This is her partner, Tommy Thompson. About 10 days ago, he transitioned. Suddenly. This is a young man who is full of life. I encountered his work 10 years ago. Somebody put one of their pieces of tachyon in my hands. I was so amazed. I said, somebody knows what they're doing. And then, maybe 6 years ago, we met Tommy and Martina, and they have been our friends. We've helped them publish their book in English here in the United States. We work together. We're two different energy systems, and yet whenever we see each other, we get together. We talked just 10 days ago. I told Tommy, he said something about my work. He gave me some sort of guidance. I said, Tommy, thank you so much. I said, your wisdom is always right on. Thank you. I'm so glad I didn't miss him. I didn't get it, that I didn't just go by what he has to offer, that I had a chance to spend time with him. And it was interesting, at that dinner that we were having in Russia, I said to him, Tommy, you know how people, when they're growing up, children say, I want to be a fireman, or I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a lawyer? I said to him, when you were growing up, did you say, I want to travel around the world and I want to teach people about tachyons? And I said, could you have envisioned this? And he laughed and he said, but I love it. I love doing it. And with he and Martina, his partner, they have traveled the world teaching people about tachyons. And I think their teaching is very, very valid. And I'm so glad I didn't miss him. I will miss him now. I understand that we go on, but there's nothing like being in the flesh when you hang out with your friends and your family. And they do transition, and we do go on. I would ask you for this moment to send Tommy a big love hug, to thank him for what he has done, and tell him that we remember him. And please stop by and remember Martina. Love you, Martina. Okay. So, don't miss each other. Don't miss the opportunity to appreciate what you have to give. As a matter of fact, in Tommy's memory, would you turn to each other and say, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, I have something else to show you. This is Sedona. This is very interesting. The first time I gave this talk, this community meeting, and I've been giving these community meetings all around the world, 2 hours, where we talk about how we can support one another. What can we do to help our culture become stronger in who we are? 2 years ago was the first time I gave the talk. An hour after I gave the talk, it was at the Summer Light Conference in Mount Shasta. There's a fire, a synchronistic event. A fire broke out here in Sedona. It was very humbling to come home and see the fire on the ridge. And every day when I woke up and I looked out over Sedona, what I noticed was there was a big cloud of smoke. And it took me 3 days, but by the 3rd day, I realized what I was seeing. In effect, what I was asking was that we clean ourselves up a bit, that we make ourselves a bit more clearer with one another and with the world. And to me, this was a giant smudge. And it was so interesting to listen to the people on the news. They said things like this with a straight face. The fire continues to burn in Sedona today. It is a place that is known as a New Age Mecca for New Age type people. With straight face and very seriously, there is fear that the energy vortexes of Sedona may be harmed through these fires.